Howdy folks, welcome to Grumpy Shed Mark, untidy and cluttered. I'm just going to run through sort of part one of a packing video for a trip I'm going off on. I'm going to be away for 3 or 4 weeks. Not 100% where I'm going to be at the best of times, so I'm just kind of going through the first stages of packing. The bike is being shipped off next week, and then I'm going to join it later. So I'm going to talk about what kind of stuff I pack and other sort of tips and tricks. I'm by no means an expert. I've been on a number of trips, longer European style trips. So I'll do a couple of tips for packing, and then of course I'm going to start posting videos from there. So anyway, here's the bike. I'm packing the bike. If you don't not familiar, then it's an R1250GS Rally Edition. It's fine. I haven't done much to it aside from putting the luggage on it. Other parts about the setup, so I've RAM mount and I've a GoPro mount on the indicator there. Aside from that, there's basically nothing done to it. That's for my airbag vests, just so it's not dangling down into things. I haven't replaced the passenger seat with a rack, which some people do. What I do is, because Mrs. Grumpy occasionally goes on the back of this bike, I've got your standard €8 Halfords luggage net. Anything you want to do, your bit of shopping, your bottle of water, your whatever, will go under that, and you'd be surprised what you can get under there. So as regards to luggage, it's the Touratech Zega Pro, and it's the top box and 2 side boxes. So I'm going to run through. I've had these boxes for years. I've had them on 3 different bikes. They are great. Don't fuck around. They're it's why I kept them when I sold all 2 of the other bikes that these boxes have been on. So what I'm going to run through is what's going to go in each of these boxes. Now, this is stage 1. This is like the bare minimum. Cannot be got where I'm going, or I really want to have my own version of this, or can't be done without. There's going to be a lot more stuff put in here, like clothes and other sort of comfort items. But this is sort of the bare minimum. One thing I will say is that if you're going off on like a long weekend or a week-long trip, you're going to bring the kitchen sink. Or that's what I do, because I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't have to really care about packing light or anything like that. If I'm going on a longer trip, which I am, I'm going to pack super light, because you're going to want space for shit you pick up along the way, or just for putting stuff in, and I'll talk about that in a second. So, number 1 is what's going in my top box. Nothing. What goes in the top box is nothing. When the bike's on the way out, there's 1 rock strap in there. Rock straps are fucking class. Pick up a couple of these if you need to lash something to the bike, on your passenger seat or around the top box. Those things are class. Saved my bacon a number of times. Always have one with you if you have a box on the bike, but basically nothing aside from the strap. So what's going to go in there is my regular backpack. So all my sort of laptop and little bits and cables and wires and jobs, and a change of clothes and toiletries and a few bits I need and documents and when I'm not using them and that sort of stuff. And that'll go in there. And then when I get off the bike, I put my lid in here and take the backpack out and go about my business, right? And that's the same if I'm here, if I'm on a trip, if I'm on everything like that. I hate being off going to lunch somewhere and you're walking around with your lid in one hand and a fucking tank bag in the other and fucking who knows what else in the other hand. And so that's, that'll give you an idea of how light we're traveling here. Speaking of the tank bag, I do have this SW Motec Yukon. Let's give you a look at that. And so that is a class tank bag. I'm debating as to whether or not to bring it. I don't really want to bring it, because It's good to have a load of shite in there, like there's a load of camera gear and stuff like that. But when you think about it, like what do you actually need sitting in front of you most of the time? Like nothing. Like when you come up to a border, you want your or to a ferry or something, you want your documents on you. But aside from that, the thing is just kind of sitting there in front of you. I don't really like it. I don't like it, and I can see all the screens, and if there's something on the RAM mount, I can kind of see what's on the RAM mount. But like, if I can get away with not bringing this, I will. So that's still jury's out on you, buddy. Right, as to the boxes, I'm going to run through what each of these boxes have. I got it about half full now, and I'm hoping to keep it roughly that full, just so I can, put stuff in and out. This one is the bigger box. It's got my Almax chain and my pinch pin. Pinch pin goes through the rear wheel of the GS, and the square lock, the famous square lock, goes onto the end of the pinch pin, and you put your chain through it. That's probably overkill in terms of what are those in terms of the security, but my take on bike security is you should bring the amount of security that makes you happy, that makes you happy to leave your bike, right? And so I've got a big expensive looking bike. I know there's loads of GSs going around, but it's still a big expensive looking bike. I want to be able to chain it up to something. I'm able to bring this, so I'm going to bring it. So this is what I am doing. So that's all that's in there at the moment. I've got the standard like couple of cable ties and a bit of electrical tape and spare earplugs, and that, but that's it. The only other thing that's going to go in here pretty much is clothes, and clothes are going to go in that. I haven't packed them yet. That's just a very thin dry sack, and so even that's probably overkill. I mostly use dry sacks not to keep stuff dry, but to regulate smellage. So as you go through your laundry, I have another smaller dry sack where used laundry goes, and you don't store your clean laundry with your used laundry, you dirty feckers. As well as that, I'll most likely bring these, which is my thermals with my, it came with my Rucka gear. I'm going to Tomato Europe rather than Potato Europe. So hopefully it'll be warm and dry for the most part, and I won't need those, but it's good to have them in case I need them. I don't have wet gear in here because the Rucka suit itself works as wet gear. I've never had to put wet gear on with that. So that's pretty cool. All right, other box. This is slightly more interesting. So on the top of this, I got knives and multi-tools and a couple of toiletry bits, and that's all there. And then the rest of it is just sort of segregated into boxes. There's nothing loose in here. This is all camera gear. I'll run through these in a second. That's toiletries. That's a puncture kit, a compressor, first aid kit, and some miscellaneous sort of laundry, getting things done bits. And those are the boxes. That's what's going in the boxes. That's all that's coming with me. So the other thing that is cool from TourTech is, if I can find the right key. Let's see if I try the right key first. This is a little toolbox that, no, it's always the second one you try. This is a little toolbox that goes on the inside of your rack, so it's kind of cool to have there for stuff that you hope you don't need. I don't have a ton in there. I'm after taking out my jump pack because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to need that. Famous last words. But it's one of those things where generally if I'm on a trip with a load of lads, I will bring that jump pack just in case anyone needs it. But if it's just me and the bike, I'm not going to need it. But all your regular stuff like, Torx keys, Allen keys, little magnet for getting things, a few nitrile gloves, all that sort of shit goes in there. I'm probably going to try and put my puncture stuff in there as well, just because I've taken the jump pack out just to save money, or save space in the boxes. But yeah, that's that. What's missing is, obviously clothes and a couple of other bits. I'm going to run through the stuff in here, and then when I have my backpack packed, I'll sort of let you know what's roughly in there without getting into too much gory detail. But that's the initial packing of the bike. Let's see what it looks like when it actually goes onto the boat. All right, let's look at what's in these little bits. All right, I found this handy table. Let me run through everything I'm going to bring with me in these little boxes, these little bags and boxes and what have you. Um, First off, and this comes with me in the top box all the time pretty much, this is a puncture kit. If you know what a puncture kit is, looks like that. I have this CO2 canister thing, which is a load of shite. I use a compressor. But the one thing I would recommend that some puncture kits, or two things I recommend some puncture kits don't come with, is little needle nose pliers if you're not going to bring a multi-tool with you for actually taking the thing out of your tire. And vulcanizing compound. Some of them don't come with the little tube of goo. It's not glue, it's vulcanizing compound, and it's different because the actual snots have vulcanizing compound on it. But I find having it there to sort of to I get to say this, to lubricate the hole and to really work on the rubber of the tire as you're reaming it. Um, Really works out. So this is a sort of bodged between a couple of different puncture kits and a little needle nose pliers. That is pretty essential. That comes with me all of the time. Other thing that comes with me a lot of the time is this. This is what I use to pump up tires at the side of the road. The one time I've gotten to do it so far. This is a Dynaplug compressor. Basically plugs into your cigarette lighter socket, or I think it goes into the BMW CAN bus socket, and it's this thing, and you just turn it on, and it has a shitty little tire pressure gauge in there as well. It takes about 10-15 minutes to blow up a tire, but I mean, you're not going anywhere, so it's not too bad, and they're both fairly compact. They're not huge. This here's a toilet bag. Might get amalgamated into the backpack, but this is like standard stuff: toothbrush, hairbrush, drugs, that sort of stuff. Um, Advice for like if you're bringing toiletry stuff is some European countries are weird, or maybe we're weird, but like they're different in that some stuff is prescription only. So pseudoephedrine is prescription only in a bunch of places. There's a bunch of places where you can't get codeine if you somehow need codeine. So bring some codeine, bring some pseudoephedrine. At worst, it'll make you some new friends for people who are looking for this sort of stuff. But that's the toilet bag for like the stuff that doesn't need to come in and out with me, because generally the boxes will stay on the bike overnight if it's feasible, and I'll just bring the overnight kind of backpack in with me. Um, Last but not least is this fella. He's a little dry pack, and he's got a bunch of stuff in him, bits and bobs. So masks. Obviously, this was a just post-COVID thing. They haven't left, but I still wear a mask if I'm going somewhere that's really crowded and sweaty and horrible. And entirely up to you. They're good to have. There's nothing to them, and they're in there. That's fine. Rest of this is laundry stuff, I think. So this is a plug for your plug hole for the shitty little sink in the shitty little hostel or hotel that doesn't have a plug, or a plug to go into the plug hole. You just go shoomp, and it's sort of rubbery and just goes shoomp over the hole and lets you fill the sink with hot water to do your laundry in if you don't have a laundry service where you're at, such as you're in a hostel, or increasingly you're in a hotel and the laundry service is like, sure, we'll clean your dirty underpants, 40 quid please, right? So that is good for that. Travel wash, get a little thing of this. Obviously you can get that over there if you really want to, but I have it here because it's handy. This is pretty cool. This is a washing line. So you can hang stuff up in a bathroom and stick the radiator on and go off for the evening, and your stuff will dry if it has the proper airflow and stuff. There's no pegs, you just kind of separate this out and stick stuff in and wedge it. So that's kind of cool. The only other thing in here is the travel wash and yeah, friend makers for out on the road. I got stuff all over the place here, so I do need to go in and sort of rearrange where a lot of this stuff is. So I'm gonna probably slim down this more in terms of what goes into the boxes versus what goes in the toolbox and gets forgotten about, or what goes into my little backpack. So, oh yeah, one last thing. First aid kit. So again, I'm not going down the fucking road of bones, right? I'm going to be in mainland Europe, and I'm going to be an hour's drive at most away from a pharmacy or a doctor or a hospital or whatever you need, right? So literally, it's for first aid at the side of the road or first aid in a hotel until you can get somewhere, right? So the main stuff for this is obviously bandages, some kind of just to patch yourself up a little bit. Where's it gone? Um, Saline for washing out your eye if you get something in your eye, which is more common than you'd think, motorbike injury. And this one came as a package, so it has a fucking whistle in it apparently. But you go into fucking 53 degrees north or one of these like adventure play, or even go on like Amazon or eBay or something and say, oh yeah, I want a first aid kit for going traveling, and they're giving you fucking malaria tablets and all sorts of shit, and you don't need half of that. You just need like enough to get you to the civilization that you're already in. So that's the job, and that's pretty much all that's coming with, right? Aside from tech, camera shit and little bits and bobs and the laptop and that kind of thing, and clothes. And I'll do another little video when I'm fully packed, and we'll show you this. But that's the stuff that is the bare essentials, just to go into the bags to do me for, I want to say, about a month. All right, that's your lot. Talk to you next time.